So you're selfish now. That's what they said, isn't it? You finally said no, maybe for the first time in longer than you can remember, and somehow, within minutes, the conversation flipped and you were the problem. You were the one causing damage. You were the one who needed to explain yourself. And the worst part? You did. You explained. You backtracked. You softened it. You spent the next hour trying to prove that you're actually a good person to someone who had just finished making you feel like you weren't. Let me ask you something. When did saying no become something you had to apologize for? Because I'm looking at this and I'm seeing something that has nothing to do with selfishness. I'm seeing someone who has been so successfully trained to feel guilty for having needs that they can't set a single boundary without immediately trying to take it back. You don't say no. You say no, sorry, but, actually, I mean, if you need me to I can, and by the end of it the boundary is gone and somehow you're the one comforting them. That is not a character flaw. That is what happens when someone has spent a long time making sure every limit you try to set comes with a cost. Think about the last time you put yourself first. Really think about it. How long did it take before the guilt showed up? Before their voice, or the version of it you now carry around in your own head, started telling you that you were wrong for it. That voice isn't your conscience. That's their work. And it's very, very good. Let's slow this down. Because guilt tripping doesn't just happen. It isn't an emotional person occasionally saying the wrong thing under pressure. It's a system. And once you see the mechanics of it, you'll never be able to unsee them. It starts with the boundary. You say something, anything, that inconveniences them. You say no. You say not this time. You say I need some space. Doesn't matter how carefully you word it, how many times you soften it, how many apologies you wrap around it before it even lands. The moment it threatens their access to you, the sequence begins. First comes the wound. Sudden, visible, theatrical. The sighing. The silence. The face. Or maybe the words, "Fine, don't worry about it," delivered in a tone that makes very clear that they will, in fact, be worrying about it. And so will you. Because that's the point. Within 30 seconds of you trying to take care of yourself, you're now taking care of them instead. Oh, but it gets better. Next comes the reframe. Suddenly this isn't about what they wanted from you. It's about what your refusal says about you as a person. I just didn't think you were like that. Like what, exactly? Like someone with limits? Like someone who occasionally needs something for themselves? How dare you? How absolutely dare you have a boundary in this relationship? Then comes the history. Every single thing they've ever done for you gets itemized and laid on the table. That thing from 8 months ago. On the table. The time they showed up when you needed them. On the table. Said they'd never bring it up. On the table. Because nothing is ever actually filed away. It's all inventory. Waiting to be used the moment you step out of line. And here's the part that should make you genuinely angry. None of this is accidental. The wound, the reframe, the history, that sequence didn't develop by chance. It developed because it works. Because every time they ran it, you folded. You apologized. You took the boundary back and handed them the win and told yourself it wasn't worth the fight. And they noted that. Every single time. See, a person who accidentally makes you feel guilty, they notice. They check in. They say, "That came out wrong, I'm sorry." You know what they don't do? Run the same move 40 times and act surprised it keeps landing. This isn't someone struggling to communicate. This is someone who has found the exact button that makes you abandon yourself. And they press it deliberately. Every single time. I'd like to ask you something. And I want you to sit with it rather than just skim past it. How much of yourself have you given away trying to avoid that feeling? That specific, horrible, crawling feeling of being made to feel like a bad person for wanting something for yourself. How many times have you swallowed what you needed just to keep the peace? Because the peace wasn't even real. You know that, right? It was just the absence of their reaction. That's not peace. That's walking on eggshells and calling it calm. Let's talk about what this has actually cost you. Starting with your boundaries. Do you even know where they are anymore? Because you've moved them so many times, quietly, quickly, before they even had to ask twice, that what used to be a limit is now just a suggestion you make to yourself and then ignore. You've been so thoroughly taught that your boundaries cause pain that you've started dismantling them yourself to save time. That's not compromise. That's disappearing. Then there's your voice. Think about the last time you said what you actually thought without first running it through the filter. Without calculating how it would land, what it would cost, whether it was worth the fallout. You used to just say things. Now everything gets edited before it leaves your mouth. And the things that don't make it through the filter, the real things, the honest things, the things you actually need, those just stay inside. Building up. Going nowhere. And your relationships outside of this one. Your friends, your family, the people who have never once made you feel guilty for having needs. Have you noticed how much easier it is to cancel on them than to disappoint the person who makes canceling feel like survival? You've been showing up less for the people who ask nothing unreasonable of you, and contorting yourself completely for the one who asks everything. And somewhere along the way that started feeling normal. Here's what really gets me though. You're a person who clearly has a conscience. A real one. Not performed, not strategic, actual. You feel things. You consider other people. You carry guilt like it's your job because you genuinely don't want to hurt anyone. And they found that. They saw it early. And they have been using it against you ever since. Your empathy was supposed to be one of the best things about you. And it has been turned into the primary weapon used to keep you in line. Every time you try to stand up for yourself, your own conscience gets hijacked and pointed back at you. That's not guilt. That's theft. And you've been letting them take from you for so long that you've forgotten what it felt like to have it all still intact. Alright. Here they come. Every excuse you've been quietly rehearsing for a long time now. Every reason why this is different, why they didn't mean it like that, why it's actually more complicated than it looks. Let's go through them. I've got time. But they've been through a lot. Yes. And so have a lot of people who manage to get through a single conversation without making their partner feel like a criminal for having needs. Trauma explains behavior sometimes. It does not give anyone an open license to weaponize your empathy indefinitely. Being wounded doesn't make someone incapable of guilt-tripping you. If anything, they've had more practice making it look justified. But they don't even realize they're doing it. Oh, really? They don't realize. So the sighing is accidental. The silence is a coincidence. The sudden detailed inventory of everything they've ever done for you that appears the exact moment you try to set a limit, that's just their memory working particularly well under pressure. Come on. You're smarter than that. And deep down you know it. But I did hurt them. Maybe I was being selfish. Were you? Were you actually being selfish, or did they just say that with enough conviction that it started to feel true? Because here's the thing about guilt tripping, it works best on people who are already inclined to question themselves. They didn't have to prove you were selfish. They just had to make you feel it long enough for you to agree. There's a difference between genuine reflection and being successfully manipulated into self-doubt. One of those comes from inside you. The other was installed. But they always come around eventually. Yes. After you've apologized. After you've taken the boundary back. After you've proven once again that pushing back is more painful than giving in. Of course they come around. You gave them exactly what they wanted. That's not resolution. That's a system that just completed another cycle. But I don't want to make everything into a big deal. And there it is. The one that does the most damage quietly. Because that thought, I don't want to make it a big deal, isn't yours originally. That was put there. Said enough times, in enough different ways, that it took root and started sounding like your own voice. Your needs are not a big deal. You are not a big deal. Stay small, stay quiet, stay grateful. That's what they needed you to believe. And look how well it worked. You are not selfish for having limits. You are not difficult for expecting basic decency. And you are not the problem for finally, refusing to apologize for existing. Look. I'm going to be straight with you now. You've spent so long carrying guilt that wasn't yours that you've forgotten what it feels like to put something down. Every boundary you've ever tried to set has come with a price tag they handed you. Every time you tried to take up space, they found a way to make you feel like you were taking too much. And you believed them. Not because you're weak. Because you're decent. And decent people don't expect the people they love to use that decency as a weapon. But here's where we are right now. You know what this is. You've known for a while. And the guilt you're feeling in this moment, that tight, uncomfortable feeling sitting in your chest right now, that is not your conscience talking. That is conditioning. There is a difference. Your conscience tells you when you've genuinely done something wrong. Conditioning tells you that existing on your own terms is a crime. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you made a decision, a real one, about your own life, your own needs, your own limits, without their voice showing up uninvited in your head to tell you that you're wrong for it? When was the last time you chose yourself without it costing you 3 days of guilt and a conversation you dreaded having? Because that's not love. Love doesn't charge you for having needs. Love doesn't hand you a bill every time you try to protect yourself. What they've built around you isn't a relationship. It's a system of control with a guilt trip as the lock. And you have been standing outside your own life long enough. You are not selfish. You never were. And the moment you stop needing them to agree with that, the moment you just know it, is the moment that lock opens. The talk is over. The rest is yours.